So Donald Trump is a guy that has based his entire life, his business, his persona is a public figure, and his political career so far on being rich and successful. Now, let's forget about his multiple failures in business, include selling Trump steaks at the Sharper Image, which is a tech store. Let's forget about Trump University, which was a scam. Let's go ahead and forget about all the times he's bankrupted a company, including bankrupting a casino. So Donald Trump has a long list of failures, but let's go ahead and add one more to that because it appears to be Donald Trump is kind of a broke boy. So let's just go ahead and get into it here because all of these lawsuits are stacking up and he keeps having to pay lawyers. So now here comes the big one. So here we go. Trump fails to secure bond for $454 million judgment in civil fraud case as asset seizures loom. I talked about this last time where Donald Trump was in big trouble with the state of New York, and it appears to be is that all of it is catching up to him. Let's dive into the details here. Donald Trump's efforts to secure a bond to cover $454 million judgment in a New York civil fraud case has been rejected by 30 surety companies, his lawyer said on Monday, inching him closer to the possibility of having his properties seized. Now, these insurance companies that he's talking to don't want to deal with Donald Trump, first because they know how much trouble he is in, and also, well, we'll get to that later. The former president must either pay the sum out of his own pocket or post a bond to stave off the state's seizures while he appeals Justice Arthur Engoron's February 16th judgment against him for misstating property values to dupe lenders and insurers. Trump, two of his adult children, and other Trump Organization executives had so far approached the 30 companies through 4 separate brokers without success, his lawyer said. The other defendants face judgments total $10 million, a lot of money still. A bonding company would be on the hook for any payout if Trump loses his appeal and proves unable to pay, which is why no bonding company also really wants to work with Donald Trump. So it appears that he's in a bad situation, but he must post cash or bond within 30 days of Engoron's formal entry of the order on February 23rd or risk state seizing some of Trump Organization's assets to ensure James can collect. 30 days end on March 25th. So it's about 5 days from now is the time of recording. Maybe by the time you guys see it, it will be 4 days. In a court filing on Monday, Trump's lawyers urged a mid-level state appeals court to delay enforcement of the judgment, arguing the amount was excessive. It was unclear when the court, known as the Appellate Division, would rule. Now, the state of New York came out also and said, no, don't let Trump get away with it. So let's read a bit here. New York state lawyers urged the courts Wednesday to not buy former President Donald Trump's claim that it's impossible to post a bond fully covering a $454 million civil fraud judgment while he appeals. Now, keep this in mind. Trump said last year that he has fairly substantial over $400 million in cash, but now he is facing more than $543 million in personal legal liabilities from judgments in the civil fraud case brought by James and in 2 lawsuits brought by writer Eugene Carroll, a person who he has already lost multiple court battles to. The Vice columnist said Trump sexually assaulted her in the 1990s, then defamed her after she came forward in 2019. So, of course, Trump denies all the allegations. But with all of that money piling up, what does Trump do? Well, of course, he goes on the attack and says, I don't know if I want to do the Trump accent. I can try, I guess. Judge Engoron actually wants me to put up with hundreds of millions of dollars for the right to appeal his ridiculous decision. In other words, he is trying to take my appellate rights away from me when I have already won at the appellate division. Okay, I can't do it. I'm too tired. But he refuses to accept their already made decision. Nobody has ever heard of anything like this before. I would be forced to mortgage or sell great assets, perhaps at fire sale prices, and if when I win the appeal, they would be gone. Does that make sense? Witch hunt, election interference. Now, Donald Trump has pretty much put this on himself. I mean, nobody forced him to do to really essentially scam investors in terms of putting his property values up when they didn't cost that much. He was lying about the property values. So another strategy Donald Trump is also doing now is he's begging, like on his knees, begging for people and mainly his donors to bail him out here. So this is on the news at this point, which is pretty funny to have a former president beg for money on his knees, probably tears in his eyes, begging for money. And the Rolling Stone has all of it right here. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. So apparently this is a message sent to all potential donors. Keep your filthy hands off Trump Tower, Trump's campaign screamed in a text message sent out Wednesday morning to potential donors. Insane radical Democrat AG Attorney General Letitia James wants to seize my properties in New York. This includes the iconic Trump Tower, Trump added in the memo linked in the text message. Before the day is over, I'm calling on 1 million pro-Trump patriots to chip in and say, stop the witch hunt against President Trump, the donation page read. So he's begging donors to give him money, no telling, maybe billionaire donors, maybe millionaire donors, but he also gets this. He has a GoFundMe. Imagine being the former president of the U.S. You have a GoFundMe. Now, the goal is $355 million. Donald Trump has to pay over $500 million. So even if this gets there, right? Let's say he reaches $355 million on the GoFundMe. He's still not close. He's $200 million shy still. He needs a lot of money. And I'm not sure where Donald Trump is going to be getting it because it's not looking good. I mean, we're used to seeing Donald Trump kind of wiggle his way out of these situations, and maybe he'll do it again, but it's not really looking good for Donald Trump right now. I mean, maybe he has some outside sources where he'll get that money from, but even if he does that, then we're going to be factoring in all the political issues that comes with taking the outsider money, because where is he going to be taking the outside money from? Where? Saudi Arabia? It would be a catastrophe for Donald Trump. So it already looks bad for Donald Trump, and I'm not sure how he'll wiggle his way out of it, but it is interesting to see. Maybe he'll use the RNC, which he did put Lord Trump into, is it the co-share position, I believe? And we'll see what happens with that. But Donald Trump appears to be in the red, not very good. Let me know what you think in the comments.